Hi and welcome to another Voice Essential Specialist session, and today I'm going to be talking to a good friend, Sharny Russell, who is a jazz specialist and absolute legend in this industry of teaching voice, but not only teaching, but also the whole area of performance. And so she's going to share a whole range of gems with us today. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it, and we'll have a chat with Sharny Russell.
Sound check. Check one, check two.
How much do I love you? I'll tell you no lie. How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? How many times a day do I think of you? Well, how many roses are sprinkled with dew? And how far would I travel to be where you are? How far is the journey from here to a star?
Sound check.
Hey Sharny.
Hi Dan, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
That's
And
great.
how are things down? You're down Brunswick Heads. Is that where we are?
Yeah, we're just around the corner from Brunswick Heads now in Ocean Shores, kind of just across the river, like
Yes.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
Beautiful
right.
spot. You can hear the ocean.
I grew
From-
up down that. I grew up down that way, down in Lennox Head and Ballina. So yes.
Oh, you're a lucky man.
Yes,
Beautiful
I was a
spot.
lucky man. So look,
Yes.
thanks for joining us today on Voice Essential Specialist sessions. And as you and I have talked off camera, these sessions are all about helping young, developing artists in developing their voice and giving access to the wisdom and the professional experience of people that have gone before them. And I think you're an excellent candidate to help us with that journey. Woohoo! So I thought I'd just quickly kick off by asking you, how did you get into this singing thing, and then we can take it from there.
It's been an interesting journey for me because I was born into a musical family, so singing was just something that we did all the time, and I probably sang my first little solo in front of people. Sharny, sing for our guest. Button up your overcoat. A bit of Shirley Temple when I was about 3. And I've been singing all my life. We sang harmony as teenagers. We had a group. Mum directed choirs and wrote arrangements. I started writing vocal arrangements. But I went and did a piano degree at the Queensland Conservatorium. But I used to arrange for a little ensemble there as well. And then occasionally I did a little playing the piano and singing gig at some special function or whatever. But I saw myself as a piano player first and foremost. And I ended up sort of moving away to Adelaide after I graduated. And just to earn a bit of money, I started up a little trio and played piano with a bass player and a drummer. But they kept saying to me, because I can't help singing, I just can't help it. So I'm singing while I'm playing, and when I'm doing little lines, I'm going, they said, you should get a microphone and sing. I went, oh, no, I'm not a singer. And I didn't see myself as a soloist at all. Even though I had done lead roles in school musicals, I was very quiet, and they're always saying, sing up, Sharny, sing up. And so I just sort of, and also I got a job singing with the ABC for the children's broadcasts. So there I was, singing in restaurants and bars and singing for the ABC, still saying I'm not a singer. And it kind of just grew from there. I just started getting jobs and people kept saying, oh, I love your voice, you're great. And I'm thinking, well, it can't be too bad. that's how I started singing, and it just went from there. I kind of became a pianist vocalist, and singing was always a love, but I grew in confidence with thinking, well, this is working for me as a soloist.
That's quite a common story, isn't it? You know, I often hear singers, professional singers, talking about how they started off as an instrumentalist. I started off playing guitar, and I sort of discovered by chance, by virtue of a teacher saying to me, "Hey, you should do some more singing."
Yeah.
And, it seems to be
Diana Krall.
Right.
Diana Krall. Ray Brown said to her, "Girl, you got to sing." You know, she's an amazing piano player. And she said, "Oh, really?" You know, and he said, "Yeah." So he began to promote that in her. It's incredible. Yeah. And there's others.
So talk me through, because we've got a lot of people that follow Voice Essentials on YouTube, who are what might be described as emerging artists, people who are wanting to perhaps take their singing to the next level beyond amateur and start getting paid and take that professional step.
Yeah.
What empowered you? What was that journey for you?
For me, it was always about being a musician first. I think that's what it is for me. It's like the importance of knowing what you're singing, what key you sing in, where your voice feels comfortable, so you're not stressing and straining about high notes or low notes, and really being able to sort out a lot of that stuff for yourself was really important for me. I think I never really, in my early days, I didn't think about technique at all, but I had, because I was singing from a place of, well, this is just something I do, because music was always a second language for me. So opening my mouth and making a song was just another thing that I could do, like, you know, reciting a poem and my pitch, I guess, you know, training your ear is good, so that your ear is working for you, so you're actually self-monitoring all the time, listening to what you're doing, listening to the sound you're producing, hoping it's a pleasant sound that people will relate to and enjoy. I don't know. Does that answer the question?
Well, it certainly answers in part. I wonder what was the step that you took to being a professional singer. You know, there would have been a time when you were an so-called amateur singer. When did you start? Well, I'll ask the question this way: what was your first professional paid gig? That
first trio gig in the restaurant in Adelaide in the Parklands. We got, I don't know, $50 each or something. So I just started doing it, and then I got something in a piano bar, and you know, and then we got another weekly I had 2 weekly residencies literally within months of starting to sing professionally. I know things always happen really fast for me. It's weird.
Well, I think it speaks to the amazing talent that you are, Sharny, to be frank.
Where have you been all my life? Excuse me if I say I've been waiting all my life to be loved this way. I guess you've been there all along, never knew your name. If I went way back, would it be the same? I found the love of my life, found the love of my life.
But you haven't only been a professional singer and pianist. You also teach a fair bit. How did you get into the teaching thing? What caused you to start teaching? And tell us a little bit about that journey.
That journey is really interesting because people started, actually, I suppose when my 4 children were young and at school, I actually got a call from the Queensland Conservatorium saying, it was from Max Olding, and he said, we're starting a jazz course, will you be our jazz vocal teacher? And I said, oh no. The first reason was I didn't feel qualified because I hadn't studied voice. I was singing professionally. It was working for me, but as far as the physiology of the voice and teaching people to use this instrument, I thought I don't feel qualified to do that. I thought if I really wanted to go into a job like that, man, I would do some intense, focused speed study, you know, just to get me going. But I said no. And also I had 4 young children and a lot of things going on in my life, and I thought, no, I don't have time. But a few years later, when I moved south, people just kept asking me to teach them singing, and I kept saying no, probably for about 2 years. And finally this girl said, but you must be able to help me just with, you know, how to breathe and how to work with the song and to work on my pitch and phrasing, all this stuff. So I thought, well, okay, I can do that. So I began to teach. And as I began to teach, you know, straight away, Daniel, as you know, you start to hear things and you go, ooh, you can hear there's tension in that sound, and you can hear there's a discomfort in the production, and you can hear there's a pitch problem, and you can hear they're singing through their nose, or it's coming through a gravel pathway, or whatever it is.
Being dragged across broken glass.
Yeah, that's it. And I thought, and I began to I suppose this thing began to emerge in me, my own. You have to dig deep into what you do as a singer. So that is what you do often when you're teaching. And I guess in many ways this makes it good as a teacher, because you're not learning the technical stuff per se in the classroom, but you're digging deep to go, what does it feel like? And I think, so then I had to say, I ended up coming up with this thing, and I'd say to singers, sing from your body, sing from your belly, bypass the vocal folds, bypass the vocal box or the larynx or whatever I used to call it, and sing through your face, sing through your eyes. And I'd say to people, just think of your sound coming out through your face, through your eyes, through your persona, through your countenance, through your personality. You're telling story to children, and it's coming from deep within you. And your vocal, at least I did know, of course, that the voice box is, you know, the vocal folds are these tiny little things, and really it's about the whole person. And so I'd say, just forget about that, because that's where a lot of the tension happens, right? This is where the roadblock is often. So yeah, and I just started teaching, and I had a few people, and then I moved back up to this Byron Bay area, and I got another call from the conservatorium, and then off I went, and then of course I started watching Irene teaching and and going to seminars and doing lots and lots of research and reading books. So. That's my teaching journey, and now I love it. I love it so much. I can't believe how much I love teaching vocals and bringing people's authentic voices out.
So you started teaching from from the point that you've just described so beautifully. What do you consider now, having the teaching experience you have under your belt now? What do you consider to be the most important elements of teaching voice and therefore learning voice? What do you really? We as singing teachers, we get certain things into our kit bag that become our favourite go-tos. What are your favourite go-tos with students?
I guess my kit bag really consists of, first of all, the whole body. So I say to them, where does your singing come from? You know, and they often say, it comes from here, you know. And I go, well, yes, that's the filter. That's where the vibration occurs, but there's so much more. So I talk to them about, you know, body stance and everything being comfortable, body alignment and all that stuff. And I talk about things being open and there being a flow. And then constantly keeping them aware of that, so that when they're singing and those things start to happen where they can feel it's not going right, there's tension, just doing, come on, do the quick shoulder thing, or the quick what's your bottom doing, and what's your what are your knees doing, and all those things,
What's your bottom doing? I'll have to use that one in the future. I want you to zero in on your bottom for a second. What's your bottom doing?
Well, it depends on, who I'm teaching, how freely I can speak in these terms. But, talking about that core area, and sometimes there's sort of, it's sticking out, and it's everything's like, whoops, and the knees are locked, and they're leading their nose, and... But that's, I suppose, just the awareness of, if this is a natural thing. If you're standing talking to someone, how does your body feel? What's going on?
Yeah.
And always think of everything coming from the stomach. Always working from the belly. So it sounds
to me like, despite the fact that, there's a very different there's a lot of difference in what you used to do teaching and what you now do teaching. In many respects, you've just become... It still sounds like you approach the voice very holistically, as a full body instrument, and it sounds to me like you intuitively were doing that when you first started teaching. You may not have been as refined in your description of that, but nonetheless, because I can't agree more with the concept of this refinement of a holistic approach to the instrument as a full body and not just a larynx. And when we approach voice like that, we're able to then take on board our emotions, our soul, and everything that makes up the wonderful complexity of the human voice.
Sound check.
So I know another area that's quite dear to your heart is this idea of, as we've been talking about the whole person, I find that probably the number one thing a student gets from lessons, probably in the first 12 months, I'd like to think they get a number of things from me in their first 12 months of lessons. However, I think the number one thing they get is a sense of confidence. And confidence in themselves, but confidence also for performance and stepping up onto stage for what many people would class amongst the most vulnerable, dreadful places to be. How do you work your students through that process of developing that sense of confidence and working through what is typically referred to as performance anxiety or nerves?
It's a really tough one, sometimes not easy, because you're working through sometimes such a tough barrier of, but I get so nervous, but I get so scared. The first thing, I think the thing that I've often taught my students about performance anxiety is often when you have performance anxiety, it's because you're actually self-centered. And not in a bad, nasty way, but in a way of, I'm only thinking about myself. And I think that a lot of the problem is, you go on stage, you're thinking, what do I look like? Do I look dorky? Do I look scared? Is my nervousness showing? Am I going to sing okay? Am I going to hit those hard notes properly? Is it all going to work? Are they going to hate me? Are they going to wish that person who was on before me is still on? All this stuff. And I think that if you can get out of that, if you can say, okay, look, so there's got to be a lot of self-talk that goes on beforehand, and the self-talk needs to be, I'm a singer. I've chosen to be a singer because I love to sing. I've got something to give. I'm now on stage because I have a song that I've worked on that I know an audience is going to love. So I come on stage and I go, I can sing, I'm a singer, here's a song you're going to love. And you start to focus your attention on the audience. And you think, I'm here to give you something. And again, you get back to the whole person. I'm here not only to give you a song, but I'm here to give you me. I'm giving you a present today. I'm going to love you. I'm going to warm you up with a gorgeous song, or I'm going to make you laugh, or I'm going to make you cry, whatever it is. But I'm going to give my audience a gift. So straight away we step out of that place of, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me. And then it becomes, it's about you guys. and I want to give you a good time. So when I go off stage, they go, that was great, you know.
I love what you just said. In fact, I was doing a vocal seminar for a group last night, and one of the areas that we talked about was appropriate self-talk, because we're constantly talking to ourselves, aren't we?
Yes,
and we're constantly having little conversations with ourselves, but more often than not, certainly as performers, that conversation is often very negative, and it eats away at confidence. It eats away at what needs to be. When we step onto stage, your audience wants you to be vulnerable. They're desperate for you to be vulnerable.
That is exactly right. I've got a great story. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
I did a performance once, and the trio had played. It was in a big civic centre. I think it was Caloundra Civic Centre years ago. The trio played 2 tunes, and they said, and now, introducing Miss Sharny Russell. So Miss Sharny Russell comes bounding on stage. Miss Sharny Russell's only got one eye she can see out of, so Miss Sharny Russell missed this little tiny half-inch step up onto the wooden part of the stage. Miss Sharny Russell fell onto the stage, onto her belly. Got up to the hands and knees, because the audience is clapping, and then they all stopped and they just looked at me. And I was on my hands and knees, and I just looked at them and went, hi. And they laughed, and you know what? It was the best thing that could have happened. They loved me. I had the best, most relaxed performance, because how vulnerable can you be to actually fall onto stage and be on your hands and knees in front of a whole auditorium? I don't wish that on anybody.
No.
A lot of people might be devastated by that. I'm a bit of a nutcase, I think, in that I can go, oh, there we go. Look what happened.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. So anyway, I had a really relaxed performance after that, and I've probably had a few things like that happen in my life, so that I go, look, the audience actually, as you said, they want you to be a normal human being, and they just want to interact with you, and they want you to do what you do best and enjoy doing it.
That's a great segue into probably what needs to be our last few questions, and there are 3 questions that I'm intending on. I ask everyone who does the specialist sessions, and this will bring us to a close. So the first one is kind of leading out of what you've just told us, and that is, what is the worst performance experience you've ever had?
The worst performance experience I've had. Oh, actually, probably the worst performance experience I've had would be, aside from a couple of gigs that I took playing in rough bars where they just really wanted rock and roll and I didn't have any. And so you're trying to kind of soup up some of your jazzy, poppy things as much as you can, and they're still looking at you like they want to beat you up or something. But I think one performance I did was at a festival where I was on stage doing solo, and all the other performing venues were very close, and the very, very loud boom booms coming through from both sides, and I'm singing solo piano gospel songs with all my heart, but my brain left the building or the tent, because I thought, this must be what everyone's hearing, is this little Sharny coming through all this other sound coming in. It was a bad setup, and by the end of it, my husband, it took about 2 hot chocolates and lots of hugs to make me feel better again. And I thought, who would ever want to hear me sing again? It was awful, because I kept forgetting my lyrics and all sorts of things happened. And it's never as bad to the audience as it is to you yourself. And Frank said to me, it's fine. It was fine. It was beautiful. And in fact, from what I thought was probably the worst performance of my life, and the most horrible, which almost made me give up ever performing on stage again. Apparently there was this Finnish couple in the audience that day who loved my music so much. They bought my CD. They went back to Finland. They're well-known jazz artists in Finland. They have recorded 3 of my songs in Finnish. And they're being played on radio, and I get royalties from those.
The moral of the story, it's always the case, isn't it? The gigs you feel like are the worst you've ever done, there's always this wonderful little counter story where you get this little gem out of it. It never ceases to amaze me that that's the case.
I know.
Second question to close, and that is, what is your favourite vocal exercise? And I know you would have many, but what's an exercise you love to give to developing singers?
Oh, look, I think it's probably my number 6 exercise in my general vocal exercise on my CD, my own CD. I have a CD too, Dan. And yours is great. But yeah, they love it, and therefore they do it. And I've seen singers who are a little bit trapped in the muscular thing around their voice, and a few pitch issues, and a little bit of lack of confidence. And if they do that exercise every day for a couple of months, seen one little girl just improved out of sight. She was 12 years old. And 2 weeks of doing this exercise, and it was just like a new little singer was walking into the room. And it's the old da 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 da, and I go up the 10th. But I do it so that you cover every consonant. So they're singing ba 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 on the way up, and ka coming down, da going up, fa coming down, so that every consonant is covered. And so then I talk about, come on, why is the jaw going when you're only going la 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 la? Because people overuse their jaw, and just things like that. And then
That's
just
fabulous.
getting into singing, just sing it, fill the room with it, do the Pavarotti thing, bounce it off the walls, sing, make a big noise, and just enjoy it. Self-monitor with pitch, etc. But I just find they love it. They have fun. We're often laughing through it, and at the end everyone has a big laugh, and because it feels so funny,
That's a fabulous exercise.
Workout. It's like going and doing an aerobic workout on your voice.
Fantastic. And finally, what is your best piece of advice that you would give to, say you find yourself at a wedding, you're sitting around a table, you just happen to be sat next to a young developing singer, and they say, what's the piece of advice that you could give to me? What would you say to them?
I would probably say go and find the repertoire you love and start learning it. Learn repertoire and learn songs that you can relate to, that kind of, when you learn them, they fall pretty easily out of you. Then develop your voice, sing every day. Just sing every day, because it just really comes down to muscle memory and muscular development, apart from a whole heap of other things. But if you sing every day, your brain is telling your body that your voice can do these things, and the more you try to do them, the more. I often talk about the muscles, these little people who go, oh, she wants us to do that now, and they might be a bit slow coming to the party, but then the next time you do it, they go, oh, that again, and they come a bit faster, and in the end it becomes automatically they're standing to attention to do what you want to do, to make the sound you want to do, and to create the song the way you want to create it. So I say, just keep singing, get good coaching.
Love it. See, this is why you're on this show.
Oh, it's been lovely.
Fabulous. It's just, thank you so much for the wisdom that you've shared with us today, and for being so generous with your time. And I've said this to you before privately, but I'll put it out there. I just so admire what you do, and have for quite some time. And you're certainly a person that has you're not only talented, but you're so genuine and giving of yourself. And so thank you very much for giving of yourself today on the specialist sessions. It's been wonderful.
It's a privilege to be on your specialist sessions. Specialist sentence. I mean, sessions.
Let's rename it.
I've loved it. It's lovely to be able to do it with you.
Well, thank you very much.
What you're doing. Great what you're doing. Sharing how much you share with everyone. It's wonderful.
That's very good of you, Sharny. Thank you very much. So let me, I'll just close off now. So I'll switch over to this. So there you go, Sharny Russell. Isn't she just wonderful? And I encourage you to check out her website. I'll have the link in the comments section below. So make sure you check out her exercise CD. Of course, you'll have to have bought mine first, but make sure you grab Sharny's exercise CD, and because it is fantastic. And if you're into jazz, it is the CD to grab a hold of, because there's just so many. Well, you just heard one of those exercises just then. My name is Dr. Dan, and this is Voice Essential Specialist Sessions. And if you want to continue to get the latest and greatest information from ones like Sharny and myself about the development of your voice, then I encourage you to subscribe to Voice Essentials here at YouTube, and we'll make sure that we keep the good information coming in so that we can help you improve your sound and develop your voice. Until next time, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.